The term Latinx has evolved on college campuses in recent years as a gender-neutral alternative to Latino. Now, Holyoke Community College has launched a Latinx Studies program. For details, I spoke with two students, Alexandra Santiago and Miren Neyra, and program co-founder Raúl Gutiérrez of Holyoke Community College. I asked Professor Gutierrez why the program was launched.
We started the program a while back with the idea of creating what's called cultural responsive pedagogy that represented the student body. HCC is a Hispanic serving institution. That means that 25% of our population is Latinx. So as a result, we thought that it would be a good idea regarding creating a program that represented the students that we serve. And as such, we did that. And I come from the Midwest that originally, and I did my studies in Latinx Studies, or Latino Studies, as they call them there. So that was the idea of creating this program, just to have representation, and representation
And
does
it
matter.
started, as I understand it, back in 2015, just as sort of a drop-in program where you were adding it to existing English and history and other curriculum, right? Where this was sort of becoming a part of those courseworks where it wasn't already being covered.
Yes, so it was a NEH grant, and it was a Bridging Cultures grant. So we created workshops for faculty members from different departments: history, economics, English, anthropology. So they could include a module of Latinx studies within the framework of their coursework. So Latinx studies is nothing more than American history or American studies.
Yeah. Miren and Alex, you're both students at HCC, and as I understand it, you started with different concentrations and now have decided to focus on Latinx studies. How did you learn about the program, Miren?
I learned about the program through my advisor. I took a Intro to Latinx Studies class. Raúl was a teacher, and he told me about the major.
And Alex, for you, you also have decided to change your coursework and focus here on the Latinx studies. Why change from your previous course of studies to this?
Yes, I was a communications major, and I actually knew about the program because of Raúl. He had talked about it before to one of my groups, and that sparked an interest in me. And it wasn't until I took the class with him this past semester that I decided that I actually wanted to change to that major.
It was interesting when I was doing my research preparing to have our conversation today. There's some controversy online over the use of the phrase Latinx. Some say Latinx, some say Latinx, yes. And some say that it's not an appropriate use. There was this quote from an NBC News report that I read. Some see Latinx as an elitist attempt to erase a history of more traditional gender roles, or as a distraction from other pressing issues facing Latinos in the United States. What do you think about that?
Well, the thing is that if you think about any umbrella term, if you think of Hispanic, it has these issues regarding encapsulating such a group of people from so many different countries. You're talking about people from almost 21 different countries. So Hispanic or Latino or Latinx now or Latinx has difficulty encapsulating and everyone adopting it. The reason that we used it for our program, or we use it in our program, is because it's the most inclusive term that we have up to date. So it's we keep generating new terms and reshaping the understanding of self-identification within the group of Latinos or Latinx. But I don't agree with that, because I think Latinos or Latinx folks in the U.S. have this common sense of solidarity amongst ourselves. We have language, culture that unites us. Even if you don't speak Spanish, you understand cultural references. So that idea but it is controversial, but Latino was controversial in the 80s, and Hispanic was very controversial in the early 80s and late 70s as well.
So do you think that this is sort of a sense of the culture catching up with the language, or vice versa?
I think it's, yes. And I think it's regarding the attempt to include more folks. Because originally we were grouped as Hispanics, and it was a census term because we needed to be counted. Then the community made a movement to be called Latinos, and this is Chicanos, or Puerto Ricans, regarding having this movement regarding using a term that they accepted themselves, and they chose Latino. But Latino is problematic as well. But yes, it is this attempt to be more inclusive, and that's the term that we have. and we decided to use it because we wanted to be more inclusive, especially like in a state like Massachusetts regarding like LGBTQ folks and transgender.
X is now
Yes.
a recognized label on licenses for gender, for people to choose for gender on their licenses. We have two young ladies here with us. Do you prefer the word Latina, Latinx? What are you most comfortable with?
I think to refer to myself, I would say Latina, but to refer to the program, I do use Latinx. It's just more inclusive.
And how about for you, Alex?
Personally, I'm a part of the community, the LGBTQ community, so I choose to go by Latinx. But I do have friends that choose to be called Latina or Latino.
So it's a very personal choice, it sounds like.
It's part of accepting and respecting other people's choices.
Professor, do you think that other languages that have male and female pronouns, but where the masculine is generally accepted when we talk generally about people, do you think we'll see this in other languages too, this change to X?
It probably will occur, especially with younger generations, but you always have the stalwarts regarding, and when you think about Spanish, you have the idea that this is not accepted across the board. If you think about the movements in Latin America, they're using ES at the end instead of using OS or AS, so Latines, or like, or the X. So I think the movement will catch on in other like Romance languages or other like languages that have very strict gender rules of agreement. But the thing is that it won't be accepted as a whole. But I do believe so, because we're becoming more inclusive theoretically. But
I was looking, Harvard University has a Latinx Studies program, but I couldn't find another community college that was offering this. Do you know if HCC is unique in that way?
in Massachusetts, I believe we're the only one. But if you go to the West Coast or the Southwest, you have Raza Studies, Chicano Studies, and also in New York City, you have Puerto Rican Studies in certain community colleges, but we're the only one here.
As a community college offering
Yes.
the course of studies. As you two have joined this course of study, have you thought about how you might apply it more broadly in terms of getting a job or moving past, this point of your education and moving on to jobs, what you might do?
I have an interest for politics, and I would like to apply it in that field, probably through policy or something like that.
Miren, how about you?
I have an interest in writing and history, and I felt like this major really helps shape how I want to take writing.